Well, good evening, everyone. It's the 22nd, Thursday evening. It's about a little bit after, it's about 8:45, a little before. Doing this for 23rd Friday morning, TGIF, for those that are listening. Morning. This morning, I talked about events in our lives and how the providence of God brings these events into our lives. And if we look at the life of Joseph as an example, all the way through his life, events happened by the providence of God for reasons, from the coat of many colors that he was given to the time he was sold into slavery into Egypt, and the time that he was in Potiphar's house, and then he went to prison on false allegations, and then became the head of Pharaoh's house, and then the famine, and here he was over all of Egypt next to Pharaoh, and how his brothers came down, and finally he revealed to his brothers who he was. And then after Jacob died, they were afraid that he was going to maybe have him killed or whatever, and he told them, you meant it for evil. You meant it for evil, but God meant it for good. There's a lot of people in our lives that do things to us and they mean it for evil, but God turns it around for our good. I've seen this over and over in our lives. We can see even the blessings that have happened as a result of people's attacks on us. When the state of Missouri fired me as a social worker, they did me one of the biggest favors they could have ever done for me. Because it took me out of that very evil system. It took me out of that evil system. And, yes, I met a lot of people in that 5 years that I would have never encountered, going to federal court in Kansas City, participating in the longest deposition in the history of Missouri, 24-hour deposition, being harassed by all of these people. And, looking back, I would have never dreamed that I would have, it's now we're in 2022, and we've been on sermon audio since 2006, and that's 16 years broadcasting on sermon audio. I would have never dreamed that I would be broadcasting on sermon audio 16 years, And these things that happen are, Paul talks about his life and the things that happened to him. They're for our learning, they're for our instruction, they're for our good. The Bible is our instruction for our life. And today I woke up and came to my computer, and one of the people that I have a lot of respect for that stood up for me for 5 years, my case, was the local attorney. Jay Sekulow was the principal attorney, and Francis Mannion, American Center for Law and Justice, but the local attorney in Kansas City, his name was Todd Nielsen. And I've been in touch with Todd Nielsen over the last, Well, I was fired in 1996, I believe. And so that's been 26 years ago. And today, Todd and I are still friends. And Todd has been in a major battle. His wife has had uterine cancer. And today I went to my email like I always do. You know, when I get up in the morning, check my email, and it was from Todd. And his wife died this morning at 6:30 in the morning. I would appreciate anyone that hears this to remember Todd in your prayers. You know, this is a tremendous loss. Nancy was with him all of those years, and she died this morning. We never know from one day to the next, you know, what is going to occur in our lives. You know, here about 3 years ago, I guess, I got an email from my cousin Hetty that my father had passed away. I think it's been, and then about 2 years ago, I got a call from Hetty that my mother had passed away. You know, when we get these kind of things, and I was kidding around with, because also I got a thing that my aunt had passed away, my Aunt Wanda, and then I got another one that my Aunt Faye had passed away, and then I got another one that my Aunt Velma had passed away. You know, and there's a lot of people been passing away lately. You know, all of us are going to pass away if Christ doesn't come back first. You know, the longest person living right now in the world, I think, is around 100 and maybe 20 years old. You know, it's not the time. It's not the same as it was during the days of Methuselah, who lived 969 years old, right? But our lives are like a vapor. It just vanishes away. I've been saying this for years. You know, people put all of their emphasis on, you know, the kind of house they live in, the kind of car they drive, the kind of clothes they wear, the kind of clubs they attend. You know, there's a gal on YouTube that she's 88 years old and she lives full time on a cruise ship. It cost her $175,000 a year, and she just cruises all the time. You know. Well, I want to remind people that this gal that's 88 years old isn't going to cruise forever. Okay? One of these days, her cruising days are going to end. You know? And so, only what's done for Christ is going to have any kind of eternal value, you know. You know, I've often said there's a guy in Kansas City that has you know, he's like a tour guide and whatever, and he's got this slogan, making memories that last a lifetime. Well, it's only a lifetime, you know. Well, that's kind of what's on my mind this morning. So just remember that let's not forget eternal things. Let's not forget to go to our Bible on a daily basis. Let's not forget to come to the Lord daily in our prayers and worship and honor Him. God bless.